Hey, what's up, crypto friends? Welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see in the title, can Bitcoin's price actually sustain? So let's get right into it. We're not going to talk too much today because I really just want to cover the basis here. So if we actually zoom out in Bitcoin's price overall, let's take a look at a trend line. We have to look at resistance lines to see what's currently happening with the situation with Bitcoin. I actually like to utilize the line thanks to my buddy Joel. He actually pointed this out to me earlier. About 2 days ago, that utilizing the lines instead of the candles actually sets for a much more accurate representation. As you guys can see from its current bear trend, we've actually broken it out of its for the third reattempt, which is actually a very good sign. I was primarily bearish for the past couple of days because this was a key resistance line right here. On top of that, we also did have the double top. So if you guys actually see right here, you guys can see there's two little mountains that enacts as a double top and can be huge resistance. But we were able to break that as of last night, and things have just shot up tremendously. And so now what? That's the main price action. So let's get back into the candles. So if we go back into the candles, we can also see the bars as well. Currently we haven't made higher highs since we've actually broken out. But let's actually pull up a few indicators such as the MACD, also the RSI. So if we look at the RSI and the MACD as well, currently the MACD is showing pretty good support. For a long time, we were actually below the levels of resistance where there wasn't enough volume. If you guys can see right here, some histograms under it. Usually in between where the histograms go above or below, that represents a strong resistance line. But you can see right now we're currently holding above the histograms. So that to me shows that that's a really good sign of momentum. It shows that this is actually sustainable volume. This isn't just volume that's going to necessarily dump right away, but it is sustainable. So that's, to me, is a really good sign. So if you actually take a look at OBV as well, we do have a positive uptrend. This is the first time we've had a positive uptrend like this in a very long time. The last time we had it was actually back in April. You guys can see that was the first, or I should say the second reattempt to break out of the bear trend. So that's another good sign, that this is actually pretty positive uptrend. And lastly, like I said, was also the RSI. The RSI has been shooting up tremendously. Now, as you guys can see, we are pretty much holding above the 70 marker. And I've talked about this in the past several times. I do not like to buy on a high price action like this on the 70. So you can best believe that me and a lot of sellers, people that are looking to sell, are going to be closing out the positions pretty soon. So even though we have pretty good volume temporarily, probably for the next couple of days, I suspect we're probably going to see Bitcoin drop down. There's no key definition as to how far we're gonna drop down, but if we could probably utilize the Fibonacci, we can probably see that it's pretty clear that we could probably drop towards potentially, I'm thinking right above the resistance line that's now going to enact as a support channel, perhaps on the 78th percentile, which puts it around the 7,800 range or so. So until we drop until we see some pretty good corrections on the RSI, and perhaps that MACD is going to close in underneath, then that's when I suspect that Bitcoin will then start to retrace towards the highs. And so I'm still really bullish now, for one, that we've actually crossed the bear trend. But on top of that, we've actually managed to hold support 4 times back here with the head and shoulders. And so my main concern, and it's still kind of a concern right now, is that we've managed to retest these lows several times now. So this is the first low right here back in February, I believe. Was on February the 6th, and then the second time was actually in April. It's like 2 months every 2 months or so, and this time I actually took an extra month, so it was actually until now in July that we've managed to retest these lows, and we did it 4 times to be exact. So that to me kept me very, very positive. I did take some profits yesterday as well. I was skeptical that we would actually cross this double top, but now that we have, I'm starting to feel a lot more bullish. So on the next pullback, I'm going to be placing some positions back. Of course, I'll be averaging in and seeing how the markets play out, because there's still a possibility. Do not get me wrong. There's still a possibility of this thing retracing, because if I actually pull up the EMAs, Let's do the 36, and we're also going to do the 15 EMA. We can see that we still have to retrace these lows. Last time we did that, we could see after we had some pretty big wicks back here, we ended up retracing back down to the EMAs, and we did it several times. So it's still a possibility that we might head back down towards that retracement pattern, even though we've broken out its trend. And of course, I do believe this is the first top, right? This is what you would call the first top back here. If you actually compare it, this was the first top as well. So it's still a possibility that we're going to have to retrace it for a second time to see if we break out. If there shows any signs of perhaps some divergence, then that's when we're going to start going down. And I want to make this really, really critical. But if you actually take a look at this screenshot right here, if we break down, this was actually from a couple days ago, but if we break down, it is possible that we will actually retrace down to as far as $5,000, $4,000, you name it. For the reason that, one, we've already tried to test these lows, the triple bottom, 3 times. That's what's called a triple bottom. And if we try to retest it anymore, then potentially we'll actually break that support line and we'll go down even further. So don't get me wrong, until I'm not 100% bullish just yet, but until we actually break out of the key resistance lines, currently a big one right now is actually the 8,500 range. So if you actually take a look across the board, there's actually a pretty big resistance line right here. Until we cross this major resistance line around the 85, and also the double top of from back in 10,000, and also the 12,000. So let me actually pull up the 12,000 or so. Then we're going to be seeing some heavy downfall. We're going to see it's going to take quite a while before Bitcoin tries to retrace those. So don't expect Bitcoin to just shoot up out of the blue. That's not going to happen. It's going to take some time. All right, it's going to take some time. I mean, just like I covered in the couple videos back, the truth about cryptocurrency, it's going to be a small, steady upward trend, because there are going to be a lot of sellers, and every single time we hit these resistance lines, then there's going to be a hefty amount of those sellers. People that just want to take profits at break even. It's part of market psychology, it's part of market cycles. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to go follow me on my social media. You guys can see it down here below. Also go follow me, subscribe, like if you guys enjoy this content. I'll be pulling out a lot more content and also going live with you guys more often. So if you guys enjoy that, please be sure to do that. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one.